Hi, this is Paul Perdue from Attorney Computer Systems, and this is the February 2009 meeting of the virtual user group for Tabs3 and PracticeMaster users. I knew I wasn't going to be able to say that in one breath. Today we are talking about, what are we talking about? Email integration with PracticeMaster. That's my topic. And Mary Jo is going to talk about trust accounting, client funds in Tabs, and the difference between the two. We tossed a coin. Mary Jo won. She's elected to go second. So I will start by talking about PracticeMaster and email. This is PracticeMaster. If you don't know that, then perhaps you don't use it. Someone was not allowed to enter the meeting. We've reached the maximum number of attendees today, which is always an exciting moment. Don't show that again. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I can. Can everybody hear me? Say yes. Yes. Nobody's talking. Yes. Nobody's laughing at my jokes. Every time somebody doesn't laugh at my jokes, I get a little nervous. Okay. This is PracticeMaster.
You must be one neurotic fool.
Yes, I am one neurotic soul. That's my brother Bill. This is PracticeMaster. This is the client screen. This is the email tab. Now, I'm going to start right off by telling everybody that in my PracticeMaster, this is sample data, but in my PracticeMaster and the one that I demo with, and usually the way we set it up with clients if they ask for our opinion, we have the email and the client notes tabs as separate items, separate tabs. And just so you know that, the way to do it is to get on the List tab, click on Edit, go to Configure Client Pages, and you are allowed to have a combined journal page that shows everything, or only client notes and email and phones separately. This checkbox here will take all of these types of notes and combine them into one tab, or you can also check these and have them show individually. So if you're used to seeing simply a tab up here that says Journal, which I had set on when we came in here, and all your emails and your client notes and your phone notes and your timer entries and your research notes are all kind of jumbled together, and you want them to be separate, all you have to do is uncheck this and check whichever boxes you want to appear. And now that that's done, we should have notes and email. And when you click on email, if you're using it, and you have a client that's got emails stored, you will see emails that are specific to that particular case. And as you highlight each one, it will show you in the snapshot the actual email, and if you double click it, it will take you into the email with the carbon copy, the blind carbon copy, the time and date over here, who it's from, what the subject is, what client it's tied to, all those good things. Now, it also has a section for comments. These are things that didn't come in the email, but they are notes that were added later, and a section for attachments. And the attachments will allow you to, when an email is stored that has a PDF file or a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet, they will show here. And double-clicking those attachments will load the appropriate program, just like in your email. Now, some of you have heard me talk about people centricity versus case centricity. And it's an important concept, and I'm going to briefly touch on it here. When you're in an email program like Outlook, and you send an email to John Doe, your client, and you carbon copy Bob and Phyllis in your office, and John Doe, the client, replies to all and asks a single question, and Phyllis knows the answer, so she replies to John Doe and answers the question, you have created a situation that in a people-centric world like Outlook requires that in order to see all the communication that's transpired for that one bit of communication, that one email or that one flurry of emails, you need to go to two places. You need to go to my sent items box, and you need to go to Phyllis's sent items to see what she replied back after the client replied to everyone. That is people-centric. Now, if you have Outlook and you don't have Exchange, that means you have to go to my desk and you have to go to Phyllis's desk. You may have Exchange, which is a way of hooking all your Outlooks together, all your computers together, and their mailboxes. So you may not have to go to two separate desks, but you still have to go to two people's mailboxes. That's a people-centric world. PracticeMaster takes that and makes it case-centric so that you can go to a specific case. In this instance, it's Daniel Klein's, I don't know what kind of case it is, but it's his case. Go to the email tab and see everything that's gone back and forth relating to that particular case. Now, how do you do that? That's what we're here to talk about, at least for the first half of the meeting. There is a series of buttons, this button bar right here, that can show up in Outlook if you have told PracticeMaster to do it. Now, a lot of times when people install PracticeMaster, it asks you during the installation, do you want to install this? And if you say no, these buttons won't be here. That's bad if you're going to use them. But alternatively, just as bad is if you say yes, and then people come in here and they don't know what to do with them, and they have them configured wrong, or they don't understand them, so things are going all over the place. Now, one thing that typically happens, I'm going to start a new email, is that when these install, they default that so that every new email that gets sent gets journaled. This typically is a big pain in the butt for most anybody that's sending emails, because I'd say 5, 6, 7 times out of 10, you don't want to journal an email that you're sending. It doesn't apply to a client. It may be firm-related, but isn't going to be tied to a client. It may be passing on the latest mother-in-law jokes to your brother. It may be a bunch of different things. There should be, and I didn't really check this before I came in here. Here we go. There is a button bar that will appear in new emails, and if PM Journal is on in new emails, every email that you send is going to be journaled. If instead you click that and turn it off, you will then be able to journal whatever emails you want, but it won't happen as an automatic course of sending an email. That said, you're probably thinking, well, if you're not using this, you're thinking, well, what is journaling an email? Well, if I send, I'm going to my sent items. If I send an email, let's say to Gail Wilson, who is one of my clients, I took some of my email and put it in here, and I happen to have set up this client as having Gail Wilson's email address, even though Daniel Klein and Gail Wilson are different people. But let's pretend that Gail Wilson is Daniel Klein's secretary and she reads all his email. So if I have set up Daniel Klein as having that email address, and I go into my sent items and I highlight this email and I say journal it by clicking the PM Journal button, it pops up a PracticeMaster window. It automatically decides that it should journal this to Daniel Klein. It gives me a view of, also I can journal to a related party, and it shows me any attachments that are going to be sent. And when I save this, I have just taken this email from Outlook and put it into PracticeMaster over on the email tab right here. You may remember that there were 3 emails when we were in here before, and now there are 4. This is the email. I think it's this one. Actually, it's this one. That we just took and put into PracticeMaster. That's journaling an email. You say again?
Does it stay in Outlook?
Yes, it does. Now, not only does it stay in Outlook, but it is a totally separate entry here, so that if we now were to delete this email from Outlook, it would still be in PracticeMaster tied to that case. Now, anyone who knows me knows that I preach many different things, and I get kind of preachy about how you do things. One of the things I like to see law firms do is have a totally empty sent items and a totally empty inbox, so that every day all the mail that comes in is either put in an appropriate folder within Outlook if it's not related to a client, like email from my sister or whatever the case may be, or journaled to a client. And I feel that once it's in PracticeMaster and properly classified, it should be deleted from Outlook. Now, this is one of those situations where I don't practice what I preach, because I don't have an email box that is exploding like a lot of our clients are, and I also don't have an obligation to ethically to retain or to classify my email and to get rid of things that aren't classified, like attorneys do when they're dealing with work product and when they're dealing with communication relating to their clients and to different matters that their clients are involved in. So I would like to see people get this cleaned out, but I'm not going to go into much more detail about that. Now, you can also take an email. I could take this email from Gail Wilson, or to Gail Wilson, I guess it's my sent item, and calendar it. I asked her if we can meet. She wants to meet tomorrow at 9:30. I can go here and hit this button, and it already knows which client it is down here, Daniel Klein, and I can say, well, I'm going to meet with her, client meeting, whatever I want to call it, tomorrow, not today, at 9:30 till 10 o'clock. It's an event, and it's till 10 o'clock. So not only can I take that email and put it into PracticeMaster, but I can take that email and make it the basis for a calendar item if it is specifically something that I want to calendar, or if it contains something that I want to calendar, like a meeting, or if it's been sent to set up a court appearance or to drop something off, or whatever the case may be. And that calendar item, as you just saw, can be either an event or a task. So if I take this email and I say, well, she's asked me to reply with the answers to interrogatories, I can set it up as a task that by next Friday I need to get these answers to the interrogatories back to Gail Wilson so that she can, do whatever she's going to do with them. Another button, I'm going to cancel spell check, and I'm going to, and I'm going to cancel the calendar item. Another thing I can do with PracticeMaster from Outlook is create a fee entry. I just reviewed an email on behalf of Daniel Klein, so now I'm going to create a fee entry for defaults to 0.05. I'm going to make it say, let's say 0.2, and for the description, I'm just going to put reply to email. Okay? So all these things can be done from right within my Outlook box. I don't need to go into Tabs to make my fee entry. I don't need to go into PracticeMaster to make my calendar entry. And I don't need to go into PracticeMaster to record the fact that I've received an email. I can take the entire email and tag it to a specific case in PracticeMaster. Now, linking being on, I'm going to go back to my inbox. Linking is a toggle switch, which means it can either be on or off. Linking being on means that if I try to journal an item that has already been journaled, instead of journaling it again, it's going to simply take me to the record. Okay? Linking means that Outlook and PracticeMaster have established and maintain a link between the actual email and the journal record that you created within PracticeMaster, so that A, you aren't going to mistakenly journal it a second time, and B, if you're in Outlook and you want to see the journal record that you've created, maybe you have notes in it, for instance, or you want to then go from there to look at the specific client information, you can simply click that button and it'll take you there. Okay? But if you were going to link this email to more than one matter or more than one client because it applies to more than one matter, then you would need to turn linking off in order to journal it. Now, one last thing about Outlook and its link with PracticeMaster. There are columns that can be added over here that identify, I've put 3 of them in here, there are 3 of them, that identify whether or not you have journaled, created a fee item for, or created a calendar item for this particular email. And all you need to do is go into Outlook's, I'll slow down here. You right-click on a field at the top. You choose Customize Current View. You go into the Fields view. You choose that you want to add the user-defined fields. And since they're already over here, they don't show up over here, but they would. You would add those 3 fields, and then I move them. Once you get them added, you can move them up. I moved Journal to the top, Calendar to the second from top, Fee to the third from top. And then something else that I do, and Mary Jo does also, is we then go into the Format columns, highlight each of those 3 fields, and we took off the label and made the field with 2 characters. We don't need a label up here to tell us that this item's been journaled. It has a J or it would have an F if a fee item was created, or a C if a calendar item was created, so that each time you do this to an email, you'll be able to tell. Now, why? Well, for me, when I get to the end of my day and I look at my sent items for today, I want to look and make a quick look and see, was there anything in here that I sent that should be tagged to a case that hasn't been? And the way I would know, I don't have the columns displayed here, and so it's quite obvious that it's very difficult to tell if you have journaled these items and put them into PracticeMaster. But if you have a J for all the emails that have been journaled, you can look at a glance and tell whether or not there are some that you missed that should be journaled in PracticeMaster. Very, very powerful. Those things combined make a really tight link between your Outlook mailbox and your PracticeMaster practice management system, so that you can take emails and do the things that you want to do with them. And then if you've turned on these three fields, you can actually see what you've done to each individual email and then act appropriately. And that is a summary of email in Outlook as it applies and links in with PracticeMaster. Any questions?
Yes, if you did not install PracticeMaster with the link to Outlook, how do you...
Good question. I forgot all about that. You go to Maintenance.
Cool.
You go to Maintenance, Integration. You would think you'd go to Outlook Synchronization, but that's not true. You go to Toolbar Plugins, because this is a toolbar, this thing that shows up back in Outlook. And you go to Install Outlook Plugin, or if you happen to want to uninstall it, here's where you do that also. This is also where you tell PracticeMaster that you do want it to try and determine which client that email belongs to, and that when a single match is found, you only want to do it when the single match is found. If that email address existed for 3 different cases and PracticeMaster didn't know which case to tie it to, and you had this checkbox checked, it wouldn't try to guess. If you didn't have this checkbox checked, it would try to guess based on some algorithm that's been written into the program.
If it doesn't try to guess, does it give you options about which case to apply it to?
It does. For instance, any of these other emails I haven't, for the sake of demoing, I haven't done anything with, so when I press PM Journal, it simply does not have a client, and if I type Larson, it starts to fill in the name, and I can select Larson just by doing that.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Well, Mary Jo, it's your turn.
Okay. I'm going to talk to you today about client funds and our trust accounting module and what the difference is and why you would use them. Client funds is a product that comes built into Tabs. It's a very simplified version of our trust module. And why you would use client funds or our trust accounting module. If you have any kind of an IOLTA account or you have to maintain client money that is not yours or you have not earned yet, you need to keep track of it somehow. So you can either use the client funds or the trust accounting module to do that. It's very powerful in the fact that if you start having a lot of unapplied payments and you don't know why, maybe you have a client that came in and before they left at their first conference, they left a $1,000 retainer or a $100 flat fee or whatever that is, and you went ahead and deposited that into that client before a bill was prepared. Before you bill anything, it's put into unapplied payments or unallocated funds because Tabs doesn't know what to do with it yet. When it first comes in, it's just a payment. It doesn't know if part of that money is for advances or if it's all fees. Until you prepare that statement and tell it how to divide it, Tabs accounts for it by putting it into unallocated. As soon as that statement's prepared and updated, then it moves it to the correct places that it needs to go. To avoid that, and a lot of times I see clients put money, just go ahead and we don't care if it's a credit balance or this or that, and then they do their end of the month reports or whatever, and they've got a whole big list of unallocated payments, and they don't know what to do with those, or it was trust money that shouldn't have ever been applied to the client yet because it was unearned money. So these two programs help keep track of that, and you won't have those unallocated payments showing up on your report. You can transfer the money after the money's been earned on a, when you create that statement. So the differences that I want to talk about today for client funds, some of you have maybe seen this in your Tabs program and wondered what it was. In the client, underneath the client, underneath, well, it's kind of slow here, sorry about that. Underneath the AR Fund Balances tab, you see this box down here for client funds. And when you first open a client, you do have that option of going ahead and putting in, if they left the office before, after they've paid $100 or whatever, you can go ahead and come in as you open that case and say they put $100 in there. You have different settings here that you can set up with the statement format. If you want the client funds to show up on a statement, you have the option of the details, summary, or none. You can tell it how you want to apply the funds manually, or if you want to automatically have that happen. It could be a one-time retainer. You can require a minimum balance. So these are all things that you can set up when you set up that client. And then when it comes time to move money in or out of that account, then you simply go back to your, we've set it up on our main tab, but you will go into the actual client funds. I'm waiting for the screen here. And you can make deposits, and you can make payments to firm, or you could make a payment to a third party. Okay, you have three choices there. So client funds is very limited on what it can do. You can store money over there, put it underneath the client so you can tell that they have, client funds in their account that are able to be applied to statements or for fees or advances. You cannot write checks. You can't reconcile, things like that. It's just a very easy way to go ahead and keep track of the extra money that comes in. And here under client funds is where you can go ahead and tell, transactions that you do for client funds. You're either making a deposit, you're paying the firm, or you're withdrawing to put money to a third party. Okay? And then you can tell the amount, give it a description, and save it, and that will reduce the client funds or add to the client funds as needed. Okay? So it's not a hard program to use, and I would recommend if you've only got, a few clients that you have to handle trust money for, this might work fine for you. But a lot of firms have several clients that they have to keep track of money for. And in that case, then you're going to want to look into something a little bit more meaty. You want more things that you can do here. So our trust account module is linked to Tabs. So any client that you've entered in Tabs, you can open a trust account for, and any matter underneath. So if you come in here and you want to open a new trust account, all you have to do is simply click on Trust I'm sorry, let me get on the right screen here. Click on Trust Account and do the drop-down. Find the client you've already entered in Tabs and choose them and say, okay, all of their information comes over from Tabs, and you can save it. So now you have a trust account in the trust module that you can go ahead and work with. And again, on the trust transactions, when you come in here, you have a screen, and it's a little more detailed. You can choose a bank account. You can have, maybe you have 2 or 3 different IOLTA accounts that are at different banks or in different accounts or whatever. You can set up to 99 bank accounts. So that gives you plenty of options there. You can, again, choose types. You have a check, deposit, and EFT. You can put in a check number if you're writing your checks manually, but in the trust module, you also have the option to go ahead and print checks right from here, just like in accounts payable. So if you're using accounts payable, it's very similar to that, and you can go ahead and print checks right out of here. You can put a description, and you can put payees. You can have a whole list of different payees that you pay out of the trust account. You can also make payments directly to the firm. If it is a payment for the firm, you set up a payee that is named firm. You click on the Tabs3 button, and it will allow you to go ahead and allocate that money and pay the firm, and it will create a payment entry automatically for you in Tabs, so you don't have to do that twice. Okay? You also have the capabilities of running different reports in trust that you do not have in client funds. You can do payee reports. You can do check registers, client trust ledgers or trust account lists. You can do voided check reports. You can also do 1099 reports. If you have to keep track of certain payees that you need to send 1099s to, you can print 1099s from the trust module as well. And then the last thing that is different in the trust account module is you can also run your bank account reconciliations right through here. So you don't have to use a different source to reconcile the bank account. You can go ahead and do that right in here. So they're both programs that you can use to keep track of IOLTA money. One is a little bit better in the sense that it has more options, more bells and whistles, and can keep track of a lot more clients or trust accounts. And the other is, like I said, you only have a few clients that you keep trust accounts for, might work just fine for you. Any questions on the differences between the two programs? Is anybody using either or?
Not yet.
We use client funds.
And how do you have a lot of people that you use client funds for? Just a few?
Yeah.
And that works pretty good.
Yeah,
Anybody using the trust accounting module?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Any questions on the differences or how to handle unallocateds or?
Or lawyer jokes? Any lawyer jokes? Anybody got lawyer jokes? Okay. Well, then that concludes our February 2009 virtual user group meeting. Everybody take care. Have a good afternoon, and we'll see you next month.
Thanks, Bob.
You too.
Oh.
Thanks.